Hi everyone, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface, and injured Az here from Heel vs Babyface. Picked up an injury on Monday at the gym on my penultimate exercise of the session. I'm going to have it looked at on Thursday. We're going to ascertain how bad it is. But I've been in bed most of the day trying to recover. And about 9:30 at night, I woke up, slid myself out of bed, thought I'd do something for you. And so this was an article which was sent to me last night, which I've kept because I really wanted to talk about this. And it's really, really intriguing because not only does it kind of show off the duplicitous nature of the BBC, quelle surprise, the hypocrisy of the BBC, quelle surprise, but it also shows that, particularly in this day and age, where we know that the far left is just insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. For somebody who would class themselves as a bit of a lefty, I don't recognise these people. They do not represent me or my ideals at all. And they're pushing me more centrist, without doubt. But these people have infiltrated and are currently running multiple different fandoms. You can see it. Star Wars, Dr. Woke, as we're going to discuss, the comics book industry, many others, animes, etc., etc. I could go on for a while, but you get the drift. And if you go on to social medias, they're rampant. They're like a plague. And if you don't agree with them, then of course, Uranist-ism, they try and destroy you for simply not having the same ideals. It's insane. And these people would rather see fandoms burn to the ground. They would rather lose all of their fans, supporters that they've had, that have made the franchise what it is, than admit fault, wrongdoing, course correct, and it's madness. Utter madness. So with that said, let's get into the article itself, and there's going to be graphs today, people. My boy Roman has been working really hard, and there's going to be graphs which we're going to see whether or not Piers Wenger at the BBC is actually correct in some of his summations. So, BBC Drama Chief Piers Wenger has defended Dr. Woke following a drop in ratings and a mixed reception from fans for season 12 of the sci-fi drama. At a BBC drama event in London on Monday, Wenger was asked if he would consider resting Doctor Who, given some of the malaise around the show, which is produced by the BBC Studios and airs in the US on BBC America. Wenger offered a strong rebuttal in which he argued that the Time Lord franchise, starring Jodie Whittaker and overseen by showrunner Chris Chibnall, is in fine fettle. Oh, no. Here are his remarks in full. I worked on Dr. Woke myself and produced it for many years, and I can honestly say I don't think it's been in better health editorially. Really? Okay. So I'm going to jump to the top right corner now, and we're going to have a look at this editorial, because the editorial, of course, is going to result in how the show is being received. N'est-ce pas? Now, these are the viewing figures for Eccleston's one and only season, the first season of New Who back in 2005, versus the 2 seasons of Whittaker so far. Consolidated numbers. And this down here, episode 8, is actually confirmed at 4.95. So this estimate that my boy Roman came up with is spot on. So you can see that Whittaker's first season, which is the red, Eccleston is the blue, is actually pretty consistent. I personally dropped out after 2 episodes. I was bored off my tree. But it did consistent. But look at the drop in season 2. It's gone off a cliff. Absolutely plunged off a cliff. Now, Eccleston only had 1 season, of course. Tennant had 3. Then he had his specials. Matt Smith had 3 specials, Capaldi 3 Christmas specials. So if we were to look at Tennant, for example, we can see, again, Whittaker's first season, very consistent. Tennant's first and second seasons, up and down, comparatively. But both of his first 2 seasons are competing with Whittaker's first. Nothing's close to Whittaker's second. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. The audience has gone. So, in terms of Tennant's first 2 seasons, non-comparable. Matt Smith's first 2 seasons versus Whittaker's, non-comparable. Matt Smith's ratings were actually exceedingly good, if you look at them. Consistency-wise, these are his first 2 as the Doctor. Excellent. Whittaker's first one, again, consistent across the board. But second season, gone. Absolutely gone. And then, of course, there's Capaldi. And these are Capaldi's first 2 seasons versus Whittaker's first 2. Whittaker has a better first season overall than Capaldi. Although Capaldi, since the first episode, was very consistent. Look, it's almost a straight line. It dropped, found its audience, and then pretty much remained consistent throughout. Whereas Whittaker was just slightly dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. Second season, off a cliff. Capaldi season didn't start particularly good either. Second season. That drops massively compared to its first season start. But look how it actually recovers. And recovers substantially during the course of its second season. Starts off pretty poor, but then recovers, and remains consistent. So much so that halfway through, approximately, his first and second season, they sort of get, there or thereabouts. But again, Whittaker's second season, waff. Her season is performing massively worse than Capaldi's second season. Now, when her third season comes, which is meant to be displayed, I think, sometime next year, whatever. Who knows where that's going to be? Who knows if there's actually going to be an audience remaining left? So editorial-wise, if this is your idea of in the best health it's ever been, falling off a cliff, then I'd call you a liar, Piers. Just nothing more than a liar. He then continues to say, the production values have never been better. It's also not just funded by the BBC. It's funded by a lot of international partners. Now, for a Brit, that's really interesting and really telling. Because, of course, we have to pay the licence fee here in the UK. And the BBC will attempt to prosecute if you have your TV set up to receive the BBC if you're not in possession of a licence fee. Come on, Boris. They're trying to abolish the licence fee, the Conservatives, by 2027. And they're trying to abolish prosecution for not having a television licence by 2022. So the sooner that's pushed through, to be honest with you, the better. But the BBC make a big hue and cry about, you've got to pay the licence fee. This is the only way that we're funded. It's a unique way in which the BBC is funded, and therefore we need your licence fee money. The BBC is funded by a lot of international partners, proving that the BBC can generate money from other sources, and I'm not just talking about merchandise that would make from BBC licenses. Countries are paying them to show their shows, etc., in those respective countries. And if the BBC is receiving funding to produce Doctor Who from multiple different countries as well, then it's not just the license payers' money. However, they will run it like it's the license fee, because that means they're unaccountable. They're not accountable to anyone. Oh, you have to have a TV license to produce it. So we're not accountable to anyone. It's not that they're accountable to advertising, because they don't have advertising on the BBC. So it's not as if they have to try and make a show that is going to pull in a specific demographic, which is going to be the target audience for advertisers. I mean, there again, in America, you have the CW, and they don't seem to give a toss either, but that's just by the by. But the BBC, especially so, they do not feel that they're accountable to anybody because they just rake in the licence fee. It's an incredibly important show for younger audiences. It's still watched by families. Again, very telling. Yes, it is watched by families, which consist of children, mother and father. Because there was always something for mum and dad as well as the kids. It wasn't just a kids show. And to say that Doctor Who's a kids show, particularly watching season 12, again, is nonsense. Because this show is dour. It's dour, depressing, boring. This isn't made for kids. This is a lecture. This is made for Chibnall and others to push political agendas. And kids aren't interested in political agendas. Kids are interested in being entertained. And this show isn't entertaining. Hence, falling off a cliff when it comes to the ratings. Because if your show is interesting and entertaining, people are going to watch it. That's just a fact. But if it isn't, sorry. Because it's an established franchise. It's not a new franchise trying to find an audience. It's an established franchise. Give the people what they want and they will come. There are fewer shows that have the power to do that, as in produce work for families, and the BBC aren't doing that. It will always be an important show for us, and we're a long way from wanting to rest it. I don't want them to rest it. I want them to improve it. I want them to make it a fun show again. A fun, space, sci-fi, time travel, planet hopping show that it used to be. Not this woke drivel, not this lecturous drivel that we constantly have had now under the Whittaker and Chibnall regime. So I don't want it rested, I want it better. I don't want it cancelled, I want it better. Series 12 concludes on BBC One and BBC America next weekend, but it's been dogged by disappointing ratings. Sunday's penultimate episode hit a low of 3.71 million overnight viewers. Its 7-day ratings, including catch-up, have also been far from remarkable. As I've already reported on this, Whittaker's consolidated numbers, which are how many people watch the show within a 7-day period, using things like the iPlayer, are considerably lower than, say, Capaldi's. Whittaker tends to pull in somewhere between 1 to 1.1 million consolidated on top of the overnights, whereas Capaldi, who had consistently lower overnights than Whittaker, was pulling in 1.7 to 2 million in the consolidated, this is why he's leaping over and over her. So it was more of a casual audience watching Capaldi over a 7-day period, catching up before the next episode. But with Whittaker, that casual audience has been eroded. They're not interested. They're not interested in catching up. They're not interested in watching the show. Meanwhile, there has been some disquiet amongst fans about the introduction of a second Doctor played by Joe Martin. And the emergence of the hashtag #NotMyDoctor hashtag on Twitter. Chibnall responded to some of the brick bats, is that what they're calling them, in January, saying that he is only focused on making the best show possible. In terms of external opinions, it's not a democracy. We make the show we want to make, he told Doctor Who magazine. Correct, Chibbs, and that has resulted in your ratings falling off a cliff. They would rather let the show plummet and be destroyed than see that a change has to be made to this regime. Probably has to be made now, which they won't do because they've already confirmed Chibnall and Whittaker for another season, which means let's just see how low we can go. But they will refuse to do that because it's not a democracy. We, the public, pay the license fee, but it's not a democracy. We, the public, are showing you in terms of ratings that we don't like this crap, but it's not a democracy. Because we get your money and we do what the hell we want with it, even if it means burning a show to the ground. So there you go. They would rather let a franchise die than admit fault, change, compromise. Welcome to current day, folks, and have a nice current day. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.